Hello, my people. Welcome back to another week with Dahlia
and Nicole on
Quiche My Ass. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know why I add that. I have to stop.
You're so annoying.
So we don't really have too much business this week. You know, we're pretty good. We're chilling. We are having an amazing time. It's springtime.
Finally.
Yeah, and we're totally summer babies, even though we weren't born in the summer. But
I was going to say, I was born in December,
but you're
so
a beach
this doesn't
girl.
make any sense.
I'm a beach girl. I love eating mussels every day and oysters.
Oh, and clams.
So maybe we should have an episode on just shellfish.
Ooh, that's
just mollusks.
We need to find a shellfish specialist.
Ooh, an oyster man. To just come shuck them. Yeah.
And just slurp them.
Yum.
Okay, this is annoying already.
Anyway, so we have an amazing guest here today. He is a good friend of mine. We also worked together. And
we all worked together, all three of us.
We all worked together. And we're going to obviously have him introduce himself on what he does for a living and how he ended up where he is now. But I'm just letting you know I'm psychic. And this is Matt Lynn.
Hello.
No one understands that, but you will. You will soon.
So just to give a little more... Actually, yeah, I wanted to say a little something. So the theme of this week, and I know every week we try to do something different and talk about a different professional in the industry and why they are different from the others. So Matt is going to introduce himself, but the biggest topic is that before Matt joined the restaurant industry, he was into theater. So for us, we see this a lot in our day-to-day. We see that...
I would say more in New York, like the bigger cities.
We see people in the arts who come into the restaurant industry because they need a job, because they need to be paid quick money. They need to find a job.
Yeah.
And they do, and then they stay. And why do they stay? We know why they come, because it's undeniable. It's the restaurant industry. Yeah. You need the money.
You need quick money.
Quick money for front of house. Back of house is a different story.
Yeah, there's no actor
there's
back
no
there.
Quick money back there. No starving artists back there. It's definitely, starving chefs. But so our theme today is why so many people from the industry, from other industries come and then they just stay, why they fall in love with it, and why they choose to stay when they have educations in other realms.
So, Matt, where are you from?
So, I'm from Westfield, New Jersey. And
I didn't know you were from Jersey.
Really? Till now?
Yeah. No, Jersey's great.
Yeah, we Jersey. Hey.
And yeah, I went to college in Cleveland for music theater at Baldwin Wallace Conservatory, and then.
Were you theater in high school too?
Yes. Yeah.
Middle school.
Started doing theater in middle school, high school, the whole 9 yards. And
were you like the main lead?
Yes,
because Matt's very talented.
It was actually a pretty stacked high school, which may sound silly, but it totally was. Like, I think my senior year of high school, like 9 or 10 people went into like audition like programs for musical theater and a lot of top conservatories. It was like a big environment for that, which is so funny because there was like an arts high school specifically like for the county. And I think the shows weren't as great because a lot of the like good people stayed in their own local high schools.
That's funny.
But yeah, there was a great like theater culture in high school and in New Jersey at large. Yeah. And then I went to college for it. And then when I was moving to the city, my cousin Laurel, who you both know from Danielle, said to my mom, she was like, "Oh, if Maddie needs a job."
Maddie.
Because my family absolutely calls me Maddie.
That's so funny. I never called you Maddie.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to now.
You could call me Maddie.
Oh.
I have a strict, I'm very strict about who can call me Maddie and who has to call me Matt. Or Madeline.
So can we call you Maddie?
You can absolutely call me Maddie.
I feel like very happy.
Yes. It's also just like a necessity in my family because there's a ton of Matts. Like my grandfather was a Maddie. And then my uncle, his son was Matthew Jr., so he called him Matty. I'm Matty. My brother-in-law is Matt, and my sister-in-law's best friend is Matt. There's like...
Your sister married somebody named
Why
Matt.
so many Matts?
Yeah, just too many Matts.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I know. But it all works. He's Matt, I'm Maddie.
Yeah, that's nuts, but awesome.
But yeah, so I was moving to the city, and Laurel was like, "Oh,
why did you move to the city?"
Because that was like that's what you do.
Theater.
That was
like everyone in college goes straight there.
Yeah, I mean that was the whole path. Like when I wasn't just like applying to college for theater. Like there was like a whole organization called MTCA for short, but Music Theater College Editions, and it was this huge program with these Broadway professionals that like showed me schools, coached me on all of my material for it. Like it was like a huge operation. It cost like a lot of money just to like get into these programs because they're insanely stupid competitive. And then that was like the path from like junior year on, was in high school. It was like get into this program, then go to these colleges, then move to the city. There's a big showcase in New York City senior year of college, and then like you get an agent and you just go for it. Yeah.
And what was like the full on dream at like that age when you were going into that theater world?
It was just like to be on Broadway. The dream for me was just to like work continuously in theater, and that just to be my full-time job, so I didn't have to have a day job.
Was it to be on Broadway?
Yes, absolutely, to be on Broadway. Yeah.
And what was like one of the major musicals that you actually wanted to be in? Like, I know obviously you would accept any, but like...
Yes. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah. But like, what was one where you like, that's the one?
Waitress is an
wow.
show. Waitress is a great show. And I had friends, so I did like an out-of-town tryout in Boston at ART. And I had friends who saw it, and they were like, yo, like, you gotta be in the show. There's a role for you. Absolutely. And then when I saw it on Broadway, the guy walked out, and he's like a total dork and dweeb. And I was like, this is the guy that
for me.
That all of my friends told me I had to play this part. And then he did his song, and I was like, this is like kismet. I was like, I have to be this guy at some point. And at some point, a version of me will do that.
So, and then you got some roles though here and there when you were
absolutely.
Here in New York.
Absolutely.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love theater, and I just performing and the whole nature of it, and I still do it. I do it, now, especially in the pandemic, in a different way. But like,
what does that mean? What do you mean in a different way?
Well, there's no
there is nothing.
There are nothing to do, right? But I still perform with the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is this like improv and like sketch
nice.
troupe, or it was a school. It had like a physical like training ground, and then like a theater to itself, and I did like improv classes with them, and now I still do sketches with them. I actually like act in their sketch classes and whatnot. So
that's fun.
Yeah, I'm still finding outlets to perform, even in the like the weird pandemic where there's no actual theater to do, or pursue.
I heard they're actually opening up soonish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of. I mean, I have friends who live in Australia, and like Australia, it's over it. They're like, pandemic is so over. Like, people are like going to shows crowded with other people in theaters with no masks. Like,
wow.
I said to my friends who live there, I was like, oh, do you have the vaccine? And they were like, what for? It's nuts. I like started crying, like talking to her about what it's like. It's wild. You can do anything. You could just life as normal.
That's why my roommate before, in the room that we're in now, actually, he moved back. He was from Australia. So he moved back to Australia because he was like, I can have a life, and I can have a job, and I can have everything I had before, so I'm moving home.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, are there any cases? And essentially they were saying like, yes, but only when people like come to the country and they're quarantined strictly, and then they test positive, but they were quarantining, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's wild. What a like alternate universe. So anyway, there's like taking models like that and then applying it to how they can do that in the city and at large. But there are some places throughout the country where they're doing shows. So then,
how long were you into the city? Like living in the city where you started actually serving with us as our catering server?
Before you realized you needed another source of income?
Yeah. I mean, but like I started doing it, like even kind of before, like, so I graduated in, 2017, in, I guess, May.
Okay.
And I had my first event in May of 2017.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was
So, like, you were
it
there.
was instant. And I was living in Jersey at the time. So I was
Oh, I do remember that.
for a long time. So I was until
Commuting.
I was commuting in for auditions and for work for, you know, for
That's so
catering events.
crazy. That's a long commute to a degree.
It was a long commute, and I was told I had to wear a tux, and the only tux I had was just like double-breasted, like beautiful, like really nice tux. Just kidding. Like,
Matt was always put together though at events. Like there would be some
obviously.
No, but there would be some people at events where I'm just like, you literally just rolled out of bed. Like, what? You're supposed to look good.
I like ironed and like pressed my shirts.
No, like he did his hair.
Yeah.
Like
So you're like the ideal cater waiter, basically.
Yes.
And I know that we hate this
That term is.
I know, but
it is accurate.
I didn't know you guys hated the word. I didn't mind it.
There's something about it that's like.
Cater waiter.
I think it's not the best term because
What
when
do you want?
say,
Server?
I
I know you want captain, but it's not every time you're going to be a captain.
yeah.
Even though every time you were captain at any event, holy moly, it was so smooth. Me and Matt were like dream freaking team.
It was good.
It was
What can I say?
good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess server. I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I just was like, oh, I'm doing an event as opposed to like,
Yeah.
cater waiter.
And then when
I
was
think the idea with cater waiter is
cater waiter?
No, it's not a good term.
So, yeah. So
You're a cater waiter.
Yeah, like,
they don't take you seriously.
you're
This
just like,
is-
you're a schmuck in a suit. Like,
Yeah,
you're-
exact-
You're
that's-
just like brain dead. Like, you're just like going and just like holding your tray for 5 hours. And then like when you're done, you like leave. And like, I don't know. There's a portion of it that seems, that implies you're not
just
there's
a
no
body.
skill set. You're
You're
just a body. You're just
yeah.
a body. And yeah, I didn't really like.
There was a skill set.
There is a
To
skill
a
set. You're doing it
degree.
well. It's kind of wild. Like it seems so simple, but oh my god, so many people are terrible.
I know. That's why we liked you, because you
Right.
like. So like Matt like engages with people, so he's not just there to like eat my food once it's there. Like, well, he is to a
Yes.
degree. He's there to eat the food, but like, I started talking to you because one, you're a very open person. Like you just right away. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm Dahlia. Great, perfect. We're best friends. Like this is how it's going to be. But like you also cared about your job, even though it's not your full-time job.
Of course, yeah.
Which I really appreciated. But when was it the point where you realized, like, this is probably going to be a good full-time job at the moment?
Yeah, well, yeah, what you're saying, like, I remember that even, like, in high school, it was like, some teacher was like, I mean, why would you ever write a paper and, like, submit it if you weren't proud of it? Why would you ever do anything if you weren't going to be proud of the final product? Like, you were just wasting your time, and it's going to be miserable.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, if I was going to be, like, serving canapé, I wanted to know what
Literally
that was in them.
everything.
And then like how they were made and what was interesting about
Yeah, he'd
them.
be like,
and
is there lemon zest in here? I'm like, wow. Yes. A server that cares.
and I wanted to know what kind of apple was in
Yeah,
the
like-
curry. And I was like, oh, I bet this is Honeycrisp. And it was Honeycrisp.
Well, I thought it was green apple.
Oh, maybe it was something else. Maybe it
was
was a different
green
canapé.
apple. It's
It's
green
green apple
apple.
and the curry one, right?
Yeah.
Wow, look at him.
Honeycrisp.
I'm
wow.
like,
He knows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
That's crazy, though.
But yeah.
But-
But then anyway, just was doing it. And yeah, there was something I really liked about it. I liked the engagement with people. I liked the like elegance of the event. You know, there's kind of this energy of like, it's like a one night only thing. And like, especially
Yeah.
when it's some really
nice-
cool, when it's
yeah.
a nice event, you
Some
know,
famous people.
yeah, there's something really,
cool.
really exciting about it. And also I've always loved the finer things. The like, you know, I love fine dining. I love,
Yeah, you
I love
do.
doing it up. So, you know, I would kind of like. It's nice to be able to create that experience that I enjoy so much myself.
Yeah.
And then yeah, as I was doing it, like, so I got so into wine. Like I was doing. It was Bastille Day. It was in 2017 maybe.
Oh, wow. The
Um,
year you graduated.
Yeah, a long time ago now. And
Not
yeah,
really,
there was this.
but yes.
Yeah. And there was like a big event that you know, with this like French guy and lots of great wine and
I know the French guy.
yeah, you know, and I didn't know anything about wine, but you know, it was a super long day. Like we got in the car at 10 a.m., drove out to the Hamptons, left the place at 3 a.m. Like, it was a long day.
Yeah.
And we finished the event. It was like me and a couple other people, and these two French guys were just like going off about Thibaut and someone else were going off about this Lynch 2005. And, it's such a great wine, and their French accents was they were so into it, and I was like, it's just wine, it's good, right? Like, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And my dad worked in wine for his whole...
That's why I'm saying, like, you didn't enjoy wine as I guess not a kid, but like...
Yeah, well, I was just like 22, right? So I turned 21 in college, and I was away from my family. So like,
So
wine was never really a part of my upbringing. Like, it was around me. I was surrounded by bottles, and I'd heard my dad like talk about them, but it wasn't like a part of my life in any kind of very direct way.
So a lot of people who grow up with wine or in restaurants that they still...
No.
They still are very heavily influenced, but it sounds like your dad didn't share that.
Well, actually, also by the time that my dad's much older. Like, he was 49 when I was born.
Oh, wow.
My dad turned 75 this year.
Congrats.
So he's an old man. Yeah.
Old man.
He's an old man. So he was actually retired by the time that I was in high school. So it was different. Like, and also, maybe he also didn't think that it interested me much, which it, at the time, probably didn't.
Yeah, like an 18-year-old boy, you don't
care. Yeah, I don't care about,
and if you were interested, you would have asked him, probably.
Exactly. And I did. So I came home from that event, and I was like, hey, I don't know anything about wine. Like, can you, like, teach? Also, I think Thibaut at the time, the captain I was working with from Danielle, he was like, your dad never taught you anything? And I was like, I guess I never thought about it. So I went home, asked him, he gave me a book. And I started like reading about wine and learning about it, and just like the events at Danielle was literally had the opportunity to taste like the greatest wines in the world.
I know.
It's so cool, and I felt like an obligation. I was like, if I'm gonna taste this stuff, like I should know what it is. I should like learn to appreciate it. I do appreciate it, but I should know like literally what the hell I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And so I started reading more about it, and then as I was doing these events, it was like. It was the thing I was most interested in. It was the thing that I was most excited about, doing while I would go to these parties. And then after, I don't know.
Well, and then I'll go into that one, huh? So Matt would I think it was all of a sudden Matt just started loving wine, started talking about wine, and then the chef of the catering, Josh, is obsessed with wine too, and he knows wine. He knows wine. He drinks his wine.
So much.
He knows so much, and.
They would every day about it.
They would go back and forth about wine, and I just literally looked at Matt, and I'm just like, "What are you doing? Just get your certification. Go take some classes. Do what you love doing. I know theater is number one. It's always been number one from probably the age of 8 years old. But do it." And what did you say?
Yeah, I was like, nah.
Yeah, he's literally, and this was 2 years ago. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I remember. Well, you said it with a chuckle. You were like, what are you You're gonna be like a sommelier. You're gonna just work in wine. And I was like, no, because I love wine, but theater.
You also love money, and you love wine.
Love money. Money's great.
Money's great.
Big money fan here.
Yeah, exactly. And sommeliers, they make it.
Oh, they make money.
They make money.
Laura, are you making money now?
So I'm making more than I was at first.
How much are you making? What is your salary?
Yes, I brought my tax returns. Just put them on the table. I hadn't. And I would. So you would say that to me, and you were you're the person who sticks in my head most. That was why don't you just work in wine?
I think because I told you straight up.
Yes, you told me very straight up, and you were someone who knew me, who told me straight up.
Yeah.
And then I'd done some other events with I did this other event with this guy Nick Jackson is now a master of wine, but he wasn't at the time, and it was actually with a different catering company, and there was he was running the wine station, and they were like, does someone who wants to assist him? I was like, can I please assist the man, the man with the fancy wine, and he worked at Sotheby's at the time, and we just talked the whole time. It was so interesting, and we had a great chat. And I was like, "Yeah, the wine's great. It's the thing that I love most about these jobs." And he's like, "Then why don't you just work in wine? You literally said it's the thing that you're most excited about. Why aren't you just doing that?"
Yeah.
And after a while, I was like, "You're kind of right." So I talked to Raj, the head som at Danielle, and
we love Raj,
or the wine director.
Shout out to Raj.
Raj is going to be a guest soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, I saw him the other day. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
love it.
very good guy. Very good guy.
He taught me last week. He taught me how to saber a bottle of champagne.
That's a great skill.
And because
I
I'm
saw
getting
the
married,
video.
I said, like, I want to know how to do this for my wedding. And he was like, let's do it. And I even did it with, like, a spatula. It wasn't
can do it-
fancy.
you can do it
Oh, you didn't do it with the knife?
No, he was like, you don't need to.
You can do anything.
Can you explain to the people that don't know what you're talking about?
Okay, so sabering wine is... You know how you see in the movies where there's the wine bottle and somebody has a big saber, like a big knife, and they tilt the wine bottle and they shave the wine bottle and then
Or champagne.
Champagne, sorry, the champagne bottle.
I was gonna say, is it really wine?
And because of the pressure, it basically slices the top of the champagne bottle off, and then a little bit comes out, but Raj told me if you do it right, nothing will come out. But I'm not there yet, obviously.
Did a lot come out?
Yeah, a lot came out.
Oh, wow.
But at least I did it. I mean, he said it was much better than some people. But
I feel like I'd break that bottle in half. Like, I would be like, boom!
But he
like,
showed
right
me a
in half.
video of somebody at EMP on
New Year's?
on New Year's. And it's somebody, I don't know who it is. Maybe it's the GM or somebody who's just like wasted. And they're trying to do like a double Magnum bottle. They're
Oh my
trying to
God.
saber the
just
double
disaster.
Magnum. And he
Oh my
can't get
God.
it. So he just hits the bottle and the bottle just explodes and champagne goes everywhere. And I'm like, that is crazy, dude.
That's so
all
bad.
over the kitchen floor.
Double Magnum, that's too much.
A double Magnum. Like he had to hold this bottle with like somebody else was holding the bottle.
That's a
while
waste
he
of
was
champagne,
sabering.
too, though.
Yeah.
Like,
It just
what?
basically
They do
exploded.
crazy shit there. They constantly like like these port tongs as well. Have you ever like seen port tongs in action?
Oh, like they put it inside?
Yeah, so like port tongs are just like these big metal tongs, and you can like heat them like over like a hot flame, and then it gets like glowing red hot. And so it was originally for port. So you have like vintage port with maybe 50, 60 years of age, and the lifespan of a cork is maybe 25, 30 years. So if you would go to like to take it out with a corkscrew, it would crumble. So you can just like put this like super hot tongs over the neck of a bottle, and then if you superheat it, you take like a badger hair brush, maybe used for shaving, you dip it in ice water and brush it along the neck of a bottle, and it cracks. And it's like a perfect crack, and you just take the top off and you decant the port.
Do they do that in front of people?
Yeah, so that's like the traditional way to serve like old vintage port. But at EMP, they do it with like anything. they'll port tong champagne, they'll port tong young wine,
Because they just think it's like a nice show.
It's a great show, and
I've never seen this done before.
I've never seen it either.
on their Instagram. They have like Cedric, the wine director. He'll do it with like a super soaker. Like a water gun. They'll like shoot it from across the
Oh my
dining
God.
room,
Maybe it
and
was
they'll
him.
shoot it up. Yeah. It might have been.
I think it was. I have to see, but
There's all kinds
so
of fun.
funny.
They'll like shoot it with a water gun to like open a bottle of wine. It's pretty fun.
What was one bottle of wine that you were like just so excited to open at an event?
I'm so excited to open.
That you're like, you saw that the client had it and you're just like, oh my God. Like it was like fangirling. Like
There have been so many. There have been bottles that like I was handed a glass and I like was told it was, and like the sweat started pouring down my face. Which like our friend Edward handed me a glass and said it was like Romani Conti 1990. And like in my brain, because I just watched a movie that they mentioned it, like I knew the exact price of the bottle, and I was like, 20 grand is a lot of money for a bottle of wine.
So that glass was probably like
I don't even
$1,600.
It's too much.
Wow.
And I got a sip and it was good, but like it's too much to process.
What was the most expensive bottle that you bought for yourself?
That I bought for myself? The most I've ever spent on a bottle is $300.
Okay.
And that's a lot of money.
It is
it's a lot of
That's
money.
like jewelry for me, but like
Yes.
wow.
But whereas jewelry you can keep forever, I can open this and then get drunk and then
You drink it in one night and it's gone
Was it a special
forever.
occasion or you just bought it?
I bought.
Wow,
it was-
you just bought it.
It was one bottle. I bought two of them and I still have them.
Oh, so you didn't bring them
so
today
much
for
wine.
Munchbox?
I did not, unfortunately, bring this bottle. So it's actually great. I have a big wine fridge, or a decent sized wine fridge in my apartment, 50 bottles or so. I mean, it's filled up and it flows into my closet as well. Like it's too much. But my parents live in Jersey, and I bring a lot of the wine that I want to like cellar and keep, but and I put it in their basement. So I've out of sight, out of mind.
So
Kind of
going back to, you said your dad was in wine.
Oh yeah.
So now you and your dad, do you guys appreciate wine together now?
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, he gave me this book, and we started talking about wine, and we started just drinking together, and there's actually this. So you were saying what were one of some of the bottles that like blew my mind, and I worked for this one guy. I won't say his name, but we worked at the party together, I believe, and he. Super
I already know.
Super generous guy. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
And one of the bottles was Vega Sicilia, also 1990.
He gave me Vega Sicilia 89.
Yeah,
we had it. I drank it with you.
Yeah, I drank that with Dahlia.
That wine's lit.
we
got lit, I think.
We drank that upstate New York. We did Dahlia and I did a weekend upstate, and like.
We didn't eat dinner. We just had charcuterie and wine.
Charcuterie and wine, and it was...
I have a picture of Nicole. Like, she has one phone trying to take a picture of the bottle, the other phone taking a picture of the bottle.
But the cork broke on me, and so...
I don't even remember that.
She doesn't remember, but the cork broke, and I'm, like, sweating. I'm like, oh, my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah, it's...
I'm, like, stuck in a cabin, and I don't have any way to save this. Like, so I don't want to tell you what we had to do to get it, but we got it out.
Well, we got it out by means necessary.
Well, I
don't know where I was. I was in the same one-bedroom cabin.
You were there.
You were drinking.
I swear.
I was cooking. I was making curry, actually.
You were cooking. And so you were cooking curry for the next day.
Yeah, for the next day. Isn't that crazy?
For the hike.
I'm just insane like that.
But we... managed to push I got as much of it out as I can. I like blew it and tried to get all of the crumbs of the cork, and I know I sound so terrible because I'm not a wine specialist. And then I'm trying not to move the bottle because I don't want anything to be like, I don't want the bottle to be ruined and the sediment to be coming up. But I had to push the cork in. It was the only way I could do it. And then I had a tea strainer in my purse because I carry things like that. Of course. And I just strained them, and it was fine. We didn't have a decanter, so I felt like it was okay. But it was fine because it really wasn't. It was only the first glass that really needed to be tea strained. But anyways, I'll let you get back to your story.
So you brought that 1990 bottle.
So yeah, so that bottle. I remember I smelled that glass. I had a sip of it, and it blew my mind. And I was like, I'd never heard of the wine. I was like, what the hell is this?
Wait, did you open it after the event?
No. So I took a sip at the event. I was just like,
seeing what the wine was. Oh, you took a sip at the event. And then he gave you a bottle.
And the guy was so generous. Yes, he gave me a bottle.
He probably gave you more.
He gave me more, exactly. He was a super generous guy. Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, like if you want another one, like swap it out. If you want another one, like take whatever you want." Like crazy generous guy.
I know.
Like,
we know.
He said that to me. He was like, "You are gonna appreciate it more than any of my guests ever will. So take it."
It's sweetest man. And so
I know.
So amazing.
One of the bottles I got was a 2012 Pingus, which is a Spanish, super expensive, like $1,000 bottle of Spanish wine. Crazy nuts. And I tried at the event, and it was great, but I was like, what do I wasn't working in wine. I was like, what am I going to do with this $1,000 bottle that like probably needs to age 25 years?
Yeah.
And I found a store in New Jersey that sold it, and I returned it.
What?
Oh my God! What?
For store credit, and I had like $1,000 gift card.
Oh, wait, you only get store credit.
For store credit.
Store credit's $1,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh my God! And when you're a starving artist,
yeah, I was like $1,000 just like shopping spree. It was so fun. I spent this for months. But my dad was like big fan, but he's like, do that. He was like one expensive bottle will like teach you nothing, but like if you
good have like
for
him for saying that.
He was like, if you have $1,000
because we're here laughing, but like no, he's smart for funny. Saying that.
Yeah, but he was like, if you have this, like you can just go spend this money and try all the wines from all these different regions and actually learn about wine and like kind of build a palate and whatnot. And so that's what I did, and I spent that money. It was like,
how many bottles did you buy in exchange for that one bottle?
I probably bought like. I mean, I don't know.
Like 20 to 30, probably.
Yeah, definitely more than 30. And like some were cheap and some were expensive. Like I called my mom and I was like, hey, like they took it because I went to like 3 stores before I found someone that would take it back. And
she was like, you're auctioning there.
Yeah, it was a lot.
There's an auctioning wine shop in Scarsdale.
Yeah, but they'll take like the take a portion of it, and it's a whole thing. It's so I just wanted someone sort of like blindly take it, and they shouldn't have taken it, but because they were essentially buying it back at retail. But they did it, and I was able to get all this cool wine, and man, it was a great time. But yeah, so we would drink it together, and he would teach me about wine, and he would tell me great stories, because he came up in wine in like a very different era. Like he was the wine buyer at Tavern on the Green in like the 70s, which is like when a totally different time. Like,
New York was a totally different time in the 70s.
Yeah,
so
totally crazy time. So he was great to learn from, and he still is, and yeah. But the thing is, we don't really drink that much at home. Like, we don't really like
open a bottle. Like, hey, you're over. Let's open one.
Yeah, well, like I'll open a bottle, but like I end up drinking most of it.
Really? He's not a big drinker like that?
Well, in old age.
Yeah, that's true. He's not exactly.
He's taking medicine, he's mixing stuff. So yeah, no, he's good.
That's so crazy. I bet. Do you think he's really happy that you found this passion that he is?
Absolutely.
He's probably like, wow, I never even tried to force it, and it still came.
Exactly. Yeah. No, like the things we bonded over, like I was on the golf team in high school, and so we played golf together growing up, and then just to like find another thing. Yeah, especially like 20 plus years into life.
Is there anyone else in your family that's in the wine world?
Not in that way, but like I'm slowly corrupting them. Like as time goes by, like I got my brother to get a wine fridge, and
I think people should have a wine fridge. I'm surprised you don't.
People should have a wine fridge.
I mean, now that I have 2 refrigerators, I might as well make this one a fridge.
Yeah,
a wine fridge.
Absolutely.
There you go.
It's so great, and like I got my brother to, because he had his son was born in 2018, and so I started doing this thing where like I get a bottle that my nieces and nephews were born in, to just like sell it for them, and so like he got one, and he just, put it away for him, and when he's 21, then we'll open it. And
that's so special.
I know, it's kind of sweet.
I'm crying.
That's very
sweet. He's so cute.
It's sweet. I don't know. I love it.
Me and Nicole have baby fever for some reason. We keep saying we don't want kids, and then we're like, baby. It's gross. It's really
like, I would be fine with it if I didn't have to push it out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Thomas had to carry it.
Hand it over to me, and I'll take it. But I don't want to.
That's too much.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, you have enough nephews and nieces to like.
Oh, I'm taken care of.
Yeah.
So, do you miss the theater industry? Do you plan on going back?
I mean, I don't think I'm gonna go back in the same way. I don't think I'll pursue it in the same way. Right? Like before, it was the thing that was driving all my decisions. Goal. And to be honest, like it caused me so much like anxiety and like sadness. It was like horrible. It's so emotionally manipulative. And so, like,
was it the auditioning, or what was it that was
it's
so?
It's the getting nothing from it. It's the auditioning, and then not hearing back. Yeah, you audition, you like put your heart and soul into it, and then like you don't hear back, and then it's like, oh, well, that's what it's gonna be. You just like buck up and keep going, and then 30 auditions later, it's like, wow, like I feel like I'm doing great, and nothing's happening, and it's demoralizing.
Have you thought about TV, or it was always just theater?
Theater is the thing. I just love being with people. I don't really think the medium of like, being in front of a camera and then it gets, I don't know. I just love the interaction. That's really what does it. But yeah, so I mean, like I was saying, like I'm still doing those like sketches. Like there will be other performance opportunities, and honestly, like talking about wine feels like a performance. Like it does. Like
you have to know your line, really.
Yeah, it stimulates the same part of me. It excites the same part of me. Is like you get to be creative, and you are talking to someone, you're engaging, and you can be funny or witty or just truthful.
Do you think theater has helped you in the wine world?
My God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because I work at Verve Wine in Tribeca, and
go check them out. Check them out.
Verve Wine.
Verve.
Literally like one of the best shops in the country. And Raj was the one who helped me get there. So I talked to him. I was like, hey, I want to get in the wine industry. And he's the one who recommended retail and passed my resume along to Dustin Wilson at Verve. And he's the reason I've been there for 15,
that I served food
months.
For last night, which is like just a small world again.
Yeah, but they, great shop. But the manager at the time, Devin, who brought me on, was like an ex-actor. He had been an actor for 10 years, and
oh wow, so there was another ex-actor with you.
Yes, and then I, had my theater background, and like slowly, like as we brought more people on, like most of them had theater backgrounds, and it's so funny because people with theater backgrounds are just so like so naturally attuned. It's not just that they are looking for, you know, a night job that pays well. They're also just like really well suited to the work. Like they're, you know, they love being on their feet and being active and talking to people.
And also you
engaging
have to
and,
like read a script. You have to memorize it. And like that's exactly what you have to do with wine
just
pretty
being
much.
Personable and caring and attentive, and I don't know, you're just in it. You're just well suited to the job, and so it's definitely helped me.
So that's interesting that most of the people that you have worked with in the past year are actually your people.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's so funny.
Which makes you like it even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to be easy because they're already your people. So if you were just coming into the restaurant, maybe it would be difficult because those people are so different, but
it's all the same.
So I have a question. In college, when you were, you know, in theater, I had to deal with it when I was in college when they pretty much were like, do you know that the passion that you're choosing is a hard one? Like, not everyone succeeds in this world. Like, this, and this. Did you get that? And then also, did you realize that you had to have another job besides theater in school?
Yes. And I had heard that growing up, and like anyway, you're like, oh yeah, right. I know it'll be hard, but it's what I love, right?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And there's that like kind of optimism, which is lovely, and it's, you know, a great feeling, and you've got to have that, otherwise no one would pursue it. But you always hope it's gonna work out. Or you're like, it'll be hard for it. Like, it'll be hard, but like,
but for me, it'll be fine.
But I'll overcome it, and it'll feel great.
But did any of your professors or instructors like tell you like you're gonna have to get another job? Do they?
I don't think they told us, but I think we all expected it. You know, I mean, at the very least, like you go and you audition, and you're like, auditioning is not a, you know, doesn't give you any money.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we all knew we'd have to get another job, and I don't think I knew what I don't really think I thought about like what I would do in the city. And like a lot of my friends went to restaurants, or I loved catering because they ask you about, they're like, do you want to work this day? And I say yes or no.
And that's it.
They weren't telling me that I had to work. I never had to ask for time off. I would just say, no, I don't want to work that day.
Right.
Which is lovely. Like I had so many friends that had like schedules that were set for them, and now I have that. And now, of course, I'm like, oh, that's great. I love having a schedule set for me.
A 9 to 5 schedule, 5 days a week.
It's perfect. Like
Isn't that crazy that this is like what you wanted? Not what you wanted, but like it's what you got, and you actually are enjoying it. Yeah. Like he's smiling the whole time, guys. Like I know you can't. You can hear the smile though.
So what's the biggest challenge about working in wine? Like we're talking about all these great things. Is there any challenge that you see yourself needing to overcome, or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the challenge is just like the amount of information that you have to know.
Do you think you'll ever know everything?
What? What question? Ever know everything? I'm not a demigod. Like, no.
Yeah, but like, do you think that you could be a master?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's something that I'm interested in becoming master sommelier, and like pursuing that. But like, you can't know everything, right? Like, it's the variables.
I feel like masters know everything though.
They don't.
They don't though.
But a lot of masters know a lot about specific regions. Like,
oh, okay.
They know general information for all of the wine,
right.
But then there are certain regions that they like hyper focus on.
And there's also like, yeah, you can know a lot about them, but there's also producers. Like when you put producers in the mix, you can know a lot about a region and their climate and the soil and winemaking style and what have you. But every producer will have a different like style, will make a different wine. And then you take that and then you put it into every different year, and it's like great. Especially like Burgundy, right? Is a great example of why it's like impossible to know everything. Is like it is a small region where they make Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and it seems like it should be simple, but you have all these producers and all these vineyards and all of these vintages, and when you add all these variables together, there's like thousands of permutations, and it's incredibly difficult to
even
to
and
know.
That's just for one.
That's one region.
That's just for Burgundy.
It would if you could like, yeah. So one person could not tell you everything there is to know about Burgundy, and that's one region. Like then you extrapolate that to all other regions throughout, and that's, you know, if you did everything in France, that's, you know,
that's crazy.
Like
that's insane.
And then you have Italy, and there's like something like 1,500 indigenous varietals.
Yeah,
1,500 grapes. Then you have all these different producers, and then and vintages and soil types and aspects, and you know, like winemaking, viticulture, vinification. It's like the factors are crazy, And so like you just gotta do is like know the impacts of a lot of things, and then see if you can like reduce that information to something you can remember and talk about. But like even at Verve now, I mean, we probably have like 1,000 plus 1,500 wines. I don't know everything in the shop, but
do you think you will someday?
I'll probably not be there by the time.
You want to know all 1,500.
Yes, but it's a great thing to work for. It's like it's the thing that like is exciting about work. Is like every day, like especially when people ask me questions and I don't know the answer. I'm like go home the next night.
Wow.
That night, and I'm like, okay, what's
this is a Nicole thing.
Literally, what is
I'm
the
the
answer to
same
that
way.
question? And yeah, like it happened in the shop the other day, and then like someone was like, oh, what's the story with this wine? And this wine that's been on the shelf for like a year, and I'm like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, I gotta go home and I gotta like research, and like next time someone asks me,
Do you call him? You're like, hey, I learned what it was, and you.
part of me was like, I wanted to let them know that I now know
Yeah.
who makes this wine and what makes it cool, and yeah. But
So
it's
it's
like
just-
obscure.
Because I would
like,
imagine
resource.
at the store you're working at, every bottle there is important. It's not like they're just
yeah.
placing
Yeah, he's
bottles.
not just placing things, whatever he felt like putting on them.
No, like the whole selection. Yeah, I mean it's one of those shop like there's only a handful of shops really in New York that I think are like great, and essentially in those shops.
What
like,
are they? Where should we shop?
you should shop at Verve and nowhere else. No, but like
It's a commercial for.
this,
Is that the store Josh really likes, Verve?
he really likes Flatiron, which is another one of those great shops.
Yeah.
And then Crush. These are like
Crush is where?
Oh, Crush is the Upper East Side.
yeah, Crush is like 59th. And
Yeah, that's the one he
59th
told me he
and
really
what?
likes. That's one I was thinking of. It's 59th and Lexington.
Yeah, that's right by the. I had a Crunch Fitness that I was to go there.
Yeah, I
like
went
that.
there one time when we bought for his birthday present. That's where, or Christmas. That's
Why
where
have
I got
I
it from.
been on that street so many
I think
times?
you've been there with me.
And I probably didn't realize it was like, wow, this is an important store.
Yeah, you were
a
probably
present
just like
from
la di da di da.
I what? I bought you?
He bought you a present from there. Yeah,
Was
he
it
bought
the wine glasses?
Yeah, it was the Zaltos, and then
That's
Wow,
what
I
you're
love how
drinking
you
out
know
of-
what he
you're
got
drinking
me.
out of the Zalto from.
Also,
Him right now.
do
I'm in the
you
Metros,
think
that's
the
it.
wine glass matters?
oh my god, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Like you're jealous that I'm drinking it as Or you have one too.
No, he doesn't have the Zalto. What do you know the brand of this wine just by looking at it? Wine glass?
I think it's probably is it Riedel? No, I actually don't know the brand of this, but the it's Shot Zwiesel. I always say it.
How do you say that?
Shot Zwiesel.
Zwiesel. Yeah.
Fizel.
But yeah. Oh, the wine glass absolutely matter. It's like you can just do it. You just even if you're not a wine person, you can just pour a glass of wine into two different glasses and like, or wine into different glasses and smell them and like they will just smell different.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. But yeah, I don't think you need like 18 different glasses. Like you just have like one really good wine glass for all wine, white, red,
Yeah.
champagne, and just like go to town.
So I remember I did an event out in the Hamptons. Obviously, this family has a home in New York, and it's a townhouse, and that's just how it is. And he got mad at the wife because she only brought the Burgundy Zalto glasses,
Oh
and
my
they were
gosh.
drinking only white wine.
God forbid.
And he was so mad about it. And I'm like, the fact that you have different wine first of all, these glasses are $75 each.
Yeah, they're
And they get more expensive depending on what kind of glass they are.
crazy.
So the fact that he got mad at her for pulling the wrong ones out to bring to the Hamptons house. Sorry guys, Matt is
Matt's doing Munchbox today for us.
Yes.
He's going to give us a little spiel on this wine and why he chose it to share with us.
Absolutely.
Matt's doing a spiel. And
Should I rinse these?
I
Just,
could go rinse some if you want.
just do a little,
Why not?
well, just like rinse.
Just clean it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get our charcuterie.
Well, I wouldn't quite call that charcuterie.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's just one piece of sausage.
One piece of sausage
Did you
and
bring the
feta.
plates in here?
Oh.
It's okay, I guess I told you we're not gonna have plates. So, what do we have here? Are we just rinsing it first?
Oh yeah, just like down it and let's call it a rinse.
That's very interesting.
I love this one. So this is the Zisto Ilimitado from Luis Seabra in the Douro in Portugal.
Do you want to go to the Douro?
I'd love to go to the Douro.
It is so beautiful. If you're ever in Portugal, you really need to go. I went once, And mind you, I've been to Portugal, what am I, 26? 28 times.
So in case anyone's wondering, Dahlia is Portuguese.
Yes.
So
half
Portuguese and half what?
Egyptian.
Egyptian.
Did you really?
I know that. I just want you to tell everyone. Half Portuguese, half Egyptian. So Portugal is something that's very near and dear to her heart and important.
Which is
my
why
grandparents are there. My grandpa made his own wine growing up. Like,
so cool.
It was very cool.
But so the Douro is the oldest demarcated like wine region in Europe. Like it's got a super long history,
I didn't know that.
and it's just so synonymous with Porto, with like fortified, like sweet wines. So the like dry table wine like culture is relatively young. Like I think it was the Salazar dictatorship right there that like it ended. It was super oppressive and. They controlled a lot of the aspects of like winemaking for whatever reason, and in the 80s when it fell and Portugal rejoined the EU, a lot of these winemakers were able to get loans and like start actually creating wines themselves, and so those kind of the emergencies and the rebirth of dry wines in Portugal. And Luis Seabra is a great producer there and makes a lot of great red and whites. And yeah, they're just like native varietals. They're not like varietals that people would necessarily know.
I've never heard of. I mean, I like to drink wine, but I'm not. Yeah, and I've been surrounded by quite a lot of wine in the restaurant, so I know enough. But I've never heard of this. So.
Yeah, so Zisto Ilimitado. Zisto is Portuguese for schist, and so his whole thing is like making soil-driven wines, and so the soil that the grapes are grown on is schist, and it's like Rabagato and I don't know, all the Codega and all these like strange Portuguese varietals. But he just makes really honest, really delicious, interesting wines.
And what is the price of this bottle, retail-wise?
Like I think 30 or less. Yeah.
Portugal, I'm not gonna lie. You walk through a supermarket and like the wine is like €3. Yeah. Like it's so cheap.
So cheap.
It's actually disgusting how cheap it is. And like even a glass of wine is like 50 cents.
Yeah, no, my God. Like the price of wine in Europe is amazing. It's like a euro, 50 euros.
And like, why is that? Why is wine here? I guess not
because we have to import it. The
yes.
cost of importing,
but even in California, they're still expensive wines from California and Oregon, and even the Finger Lakes are not that cheap.
Because I think like in Europe, they just have such a great wine culture. Like it is such a part of their life.
So do you think if it becomes part of an American lifestyle, it will be cheaper, like beer?
Yeah, 100%. Like as something becomes part of your lifestyle, it becomes cheaper. Like there's a reason.
Even if you're bougie, it's just
even
becomes
you're bougie.
Cheaper.
Well, but to them, it's not necessarily bougie. Like this wine is meant to be. It's like a parallel to Chablis, kind of.
Okay.
And what's the best drinking temperature for this wine?
Probably like 50 degrees.
Okay.
Maybe, something like that. It's maybe a little warmer right now, but it's all right. But yeah. So like if it's anything becomes part of your lifestyle, it is naturally cheaper. Like there's a reason that McDonald's cheeseburger is $1. You know, it's not that it naturally costs less than vegetables, but they've just invested so much in it, and it's such a part. Like just the volume of sales are so huge that it can be super cheap. And they just understand that in Europe so much more, and people are able to get wine super cheap, and they just have it with dinner. It's not even thinking about it.
Yeah, no.
Whereas
it's like water.
Exactly, and then in America you have beer, and you also have like bourbon and like whiskeys that are like people like are way more in the forefront of people's minds. And wine has only like maybe in the last several decades has become like a more household thing. But
and do you think it's gonna be more of a household thing?
Oh yeah, I think like millennials are getting millennials and
Gen Zs are watching Somm, like the movie, and they're mind blown. They're like, I want to be a Somm. Like I remember when I first watched Somm, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is interesting. Yeah, there was like a few assholes in the show, or the movie, but it was just funny to like watch people like this was life. Like
yeah, no, I mean Somm and Dustin, the founder of Verve, was in Somm. Like
was he?
Yeah. He was one of the people who passed. And
I don't think it was the one. He's definitely not the one I was talking about.
no, he's
He's
great.
nice. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But it's crazy. Like, even working, the movie's a decade old, and people come into the shop and they're like, I just watched Somm this weekend. I had to come in. I had to buy some wine. Like, it's crazy the impact that movie and like pop culture can have on the wine industry.
My brother-in-law watched it and he was like, so do you have a Somm at your work? And I'm like, yes. Like, what do you mean do I have a Somm at my work? Like, but it wasn't something anybody ever, like, my family never thought of that. Like,
yeah, of course.
For them, a lot of people have it.
It's a restaurant. A lot of people
don't realize that it's a job.
And servers serve wine. They didn't realize that there was somebody. Even though I grew up going to pretty nice restaurants sometimes and, like, not completely sheltered, but he just, like, had no idea how serious it was.
Well, it's also a strange job, right? Like, in what other industry is there, like, a parallel for a somm? Like, they're not a critic, because there are wine critics.
Yeah.
You're not, like, you just have this, like, very specialized service where, you are the seller and conveyor and storyteller of this specific product, which is, like, it's a strange job.
Oh, I love how you put that together.
Like, it's just kind of
so
strange.
Good with words, Matt.
I definitely took that from someone.
It's a specialist.
He's not citing it, though. He's not citing it.
It is a specialist, but it's, in an industry that people, maybe not think of having specialists. Like, you just thought you go out and, like, most of the country, when you go to a restaurant, like, you're going to Applebee's. Like, there's, like, restaurants don't have the same, like, there's not the same reference point.
Yeah.
And so some also kind of feel like it's, very affluent, like, to even be going to a restaurant that has a somm. Like, it's excessive. It's kind of a weird job.
So I have a question. Do you think servers should know about wine, or should there just be a somm and that's it? Like, at a restaurant.
I think,
because I know servers that know absolutely nothing about food and wine. Like, they don't know anything.
Yeah. Well, I think it totally depends on the restaurant, right? Like, I think it behooves servers to learn about wine. Yeah. But also, just, like, I don't know, for personal fulfillment, it's good to always be learning about things. Like, just to, like, I mean, for me, just to, like, stay happy in life, I just always need to be learning about something. So I feel like it's good to learn. It's good to know, about, at least on restaurant, like the BTG list, like, know what those wines are, know what purpose they serve, maybe know a thing about them or two.
Yeah.
But it's you need somms in some restaurants. Like, in like some restaurants, you have 1,500, 2,000 bottle lists.
Yeah.
So crazy. It needs to be someone's full-time job to manage
it's the Cheesecake Factory menu right there.
But for wine.
But you need somebody to check the temperature and to do the ordering and make sure these things are being properly kept. And
it's like...
And to properly open it. I don't think servers not a proper... I'm not saying all servers.
Opening an old bottle of wine is, like... That's a specialized skill set.
I remember
don't trust me.
You were good at it.
It's a lot of work.
Like, gentle and...
What is that? What is that piece of equipment called where you can essentially shove a needle into a bottle, open it up, extract a glass, and then take the needle out, and then it was like you never opened the bottle at all?
So that's called a Coravin. And Coravin, Coravin.
Oh, I've seen that. Danielle actually did a podcast on Coravin. They asked him to do it.
That's so funny.
But I didn't realize that was the name. I thought that was just the brand.
It is the brand, but they, like, invented it.
Oh, okay.
So, it was like a surgeon or some kind of doctor, like, came up with the idea, and he invented it, and he's still, like, a practicing surgeon. But he also
I was going to say, a surgeon that needs more money? Yeah.
But no, it's a great tool.
It's an idea. It's a great
tool because, one, restaurants can use it for expensive BTG. Like, if they have, some, like, really, really fancy wines that they want to serve by the glass, and it makes no economic sense to open the bottle. They can... It'll
be wasted,
Yeah, they can serve a $300 bottle of wine.
Do you also think that it's, like, pretty good, like, so they know that it's corked or not?
I don't... Like, the thing is, if you open a bottle and it's corked, like, you can often send it back to the distributor and, like, get a full credit. So it's often not a loss for the restaurant or, like, the retail shop. But it's really helpful also, like, in theory, the wines can continue to age with the glass. So, like, in theory, it is cool to, like, try a glass of wine, open it a couple years later, and then and see how it's changed. And it's the same exact bottle that you open and that you just had a glass from earlier.
Can you tell the listeners what it means to have a corked bottle?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
I mean, I know, but like what?
Good question.
Also, I did hear corked is myth, but like I don't know why I heard that.
Huh. Yeah, so like corked, I think there's so many words in wine that are very confusing because like dry, I think, is a very confusing word. It's like which is silly because it's like one of the most,
because there's liquid in your mouth. So
right, it is liquid in your mouth, and it just means not sweet. Like and it's so confusing because wines have tannins, which are these compounds that dry out the inside of your mouth. So to say something is dry and not be referring to the drying sensation you're experiencing, and intentionally confusing. And I think corked is also a confusing term because
essentially all bottles are corked when you open them. That's what like I think the mainstream person would imagine.
Because they have a cork. Yeah, and then sometimes a cork like will disintegrate, or they just open the bottle poorly and like cork is in the wine, and someone's like, "Oh, that's corked." It's like, no, you just opened the bottle bad. like what cork means is that cork is a naturally occurring substance, and you have this chemical called trichloroanisole called TCA.
Oh my god, I'm learning so much right now.
So yeah, it's just this chemical called TCA, and if it's in the cork, when you put it in the bottle, it will leach into the wine and essentially spoil the wine. And you can, but it's really small, like it's something like, I don't know, 5 parts per million in the cork. So it's really hard for machines to detect, like when they're like verifying a cork to put it in. But then it when you open the wine smells terrible. Like it smells like wet cardboard, like moldy basement kind of thing. And it also affects the structure of the wine. It's not harmful. You can. Yeah. I went to a friend's house the other day, and they were drinking rosé, and I had a glass, and it was corked.
But they didn't know.
And I didn't want to be the like dick wine friend who was like, actually, the wine you're drinking is corked. So I just drank the wine.
You're like, this is the last.
It's okay. Yeah, exactly.
This is the last bottle we have. We're not throwing it away.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it's not going to harm you.
Have you ever drank a corked bottle and you're just like, whatever, I'm just going to keep drinking it because like I got it. This is it.
Well, so I did when them was their bottle, and I didn't want to like be rude or anything. But for me, if I like open a bottle and it was corked, like no, because
no.
Well, there's no reason to. Like, there's not even economic reason to. You can bring it back to the store, and they will give you your money back, and then they will get their money back from the distributor.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to keep drinking this wine.
I remember I was at an event, and they ordered a case of the same wine because they're obsessed with it, and all 4 bottles were corked.
That's rough.
And it was the only wine for the event because it was like only for like a party of 6.
Yeah, that's rough.
So they had to like go to the wine shop really quick and like boom, boom, boom. But like I just remember sitting there, and I'm just like. It was my first time realizing that you could bring it back and you could get your money back, even if it's a shitty bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I never even thought about bringing it back.
Well, also, it's a strange thing, and like for the average person to smell a glass and to identify that there's a chemical called TCA in this wine, that means it is faulted. Like, one, people might just say, "Oh, I don't like this wine," and just assume it's just a bad wine, a taste inherent to the wine. Right, that's one thing. 2, they might not even notice it.
So I have a question. What is the easiest way for you to tell somebody that doesn't know too much about wine how it's corked?
I just try to say those.
What is like the dummy version of saying it's corked? Like, how do you?
There's no great way. Like, so when I open a bottle of wine and it is corked.
Yeah.
If I'm around friends, I like gather them all around, and I'm like, smell this, and I try to just
you make sure other people know that.
Exactly. I'm trying to say like, this is a corked wine. Like, if you'd never smelled it before, you're no way you could ever identify it. Yeah. So I'm just like, every time it happens, I do this for myself too, because it's an important thing to like build the association with.
Yeah.
So every time I get a corked bottle, I'll smell it, notice it, put it aside. The next day, I'll smell it again, just to like build that association for myself, so that I never miss it.
Okay.
In a wine, but
for a day-to-day person,
it's really hard. It's hard. I just say that like wet cardboard, that like, moldy basement. Just like if you can.
Moldy basement, guys. Moldy basement. Your dirty ass garage.
Yeah.
So can we do some tasting notes on this wine that you poured for us?
Okay. So
sure.
We are getting close to running out of time, but I would like to know. Let's hear our tasting.
I want to hear how, Matt, you're supposed to properly drink a glass of wine.
Sure thing.
Yes.
Because
I know you do wine tastings, and I know you have to teach people, because there's some people that don't even know how to hold a wine glass.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, first things first. Don't hold it by the bowl. People hold it by the bowl. Stop doing that.
And why?
Because your fingers, like, you just warm the glass. Like, especially, like, red wine, first of all, y'all drinking your red wine too hot.
I love red cold wine.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
I like it slightly. I recently
I like
gotta
a
tell you
basement
guys,
cold, you know what I mean?
I recently
Primo right there.
I recently went to a bar. And by this I mean it's like not even a bar. It's like a restaurant out after work. We just needed to talk about work because we had some issues, and just for a glass of wine. And I swear this place served me the warmest glass of red wine I have ever had in my life.
No, I would say throw this in the fridge.
I believe it was warmer than my body temperature.
Oh, goodness.
And I said this to somebody, and they were like, "Oh, you're just bitching. You're just like, you like wine too much." And I'm like, "No,
Meanwhile, the steam coming from the glass.
This is the finest glass of
No, I
warm
always
Pinot
say
Noir.
cold red when I order red wine.
No, this was like 99 degrees.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm like, what is this on the? Where are you keeping? Needless to say, we never went back to
They
this
kept
place.
it in their proofing room.
Yeah, like
my
what
God.
in the world are you storing this on top of the
Proofing
dishwasher?
Good God. Yeah. So, like, yeah, everyone thinks, like, red wine room temperature, but that was taken from, like cold French cellars that are, like, it's room temperature, yeah, but it's, like, 60 degrees in here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, like, I drink most red wines, like, at 60 degrees. Like, my wine fridge is at 58, I guess. And so, like, I take it out, I, pop the cork, pour it in a glass, perfect temperature.
Yeah.
Leave it out for a few minutes, maybe put it in the fridge. But, because the thing is, like, if it gets too hot, like, you just experience the alcohol more. Like, if you just keep it, like, a little bit more reserved, like, the alcohol doesn't burn as much. Like, it's just a more pleasant experience.
Yeah.
But so, like, when I'm, like, tasting a wine, like, yeah, I hold it by the stem or the base if you're real fancy.
Really, base?
A lot of French people do this.
I know.
This
And I feel weird when I do hold it by
I like that.
Especially this glass. Like, this is like, I'm holding a $75 glass right now by the base. Nicole's staring at me like, if you break it, I have to
No, if you break it, you give me yours. It's fine.
I have
I know
to
you have to say.
my only 2 burgundy glasses.
You still have 2? That's impressive.
I only have
It's
one.
wrapped in a box.
Oh,
Every
yes.
time I need it, I take it out of the paper and I take it out of the box, and like no one's allowed to wash it. I have to wash
I've
it.
broken, no joke, probably 30 Zaltos. No joke.
At home?
No, but at events. I've broken so many Zaltos.
They're easy
They're
to
so
break.
easy to
It's
break.
not like they're
No, they are, like,
You know,
paper thin.
there's restaurants that have them.
Raj
Yeah.
was telling me that you can actually saber a champagne bottle with a Zalto glass.
No.
It's true.
And I'm just like, I want to do that, but also I don't want to
Who's the
waste
bougie
my...
som that's doing that? Like, what? I know they're bougie, but like, that's insane.
the
Who
stakes are
thought
too
of
high.
that too? I'm like, let's get the most expensive wine glass and like,
Yeah,
rip
so
a
you
champagne
can
bottle
break the
open.
Zalto and, like, cut your hand, and then you drop the bottle, and
then there's
you're
no
out, like,
pain.
hundreds of dollars.
Right.
So
Okay, yeah, sorry. I keep...
it's
Oh,
raining.
guys, it's raining.
So you twirl it around.
Yes, so I swirl it around, and what you're doing
Twirl
is you're,
it.
like...
Swirl it. Twirl
You
it.
do a little twirl, you swirl the glass. And what you're doing is, like, you're, like, volatilizing the esters, which sounds very fancy
Oh,
and
it's hot
technical.
the way you said that.
But you're just, like capturing the scent, and it kind of, like, gets collected in the bowl of the glass, and you smell it. And, like, for me, when I first started getting into wine, people were like, oh, what do you smell? And I found it very overwhelming.
Tennis balls.
Yes, 100%. It's tennis balls all the way, fresh cut garden hose. Like, it's kind of hard to just, like, name scents. I think people also, like, as people were losing their sense of smell with COVID, like, there was a lot of all these studies. It was like, oh, if you had to lose one scent, like, what would it be? People were like, oh, sense of smell, 100%. Like, no one appreciates their sense of smell. It's just totally overlooked. But so when
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying,
you can't eat if you...
you can't eat. No, they're wrong.
Yeah.
They're wrong. Like, you need your sense of smell. It's kind of crazy what the nose can do, but...
Guys, we might have to end this soon because of
Yes.
this rain
Wow.
that's coming
Okay, it's
in.
super
Crazy.
great. It can be... it can be very hard to just like pick out a scent if you don't know what you're looking for. So I just try to like go off of a list of things. I just try to go down this itemized list, and so I like say fruits. Do I smell any kind of fruits? And then are they citrus fruits, stone fruits, tree fruits? Tree fruits being like apples and pears, stone fruits being like peaches and apricots, citrus, lemon, citrus, and then like melon, like honeydew, whatnot, all these kinds of things. I just like literally say the names to myself and see if anything rings a bell. And then I go and I say like, is there anything kind of like herbal? Maybe I'll name some flowers, see if any of them ring a bell. Because power of suggestion is real and super strong.
I hate that. You did it today.
Yeah, but it was real.
When we were smelling something.
But it's real.
Perfume.
The essential oil. Nicole was like, it's Earl Grey. I'm like, bitch, it's lavender. But she told everyone it's Earl Grey. And picture Earl Grey.
I guess it...
So when I first started learning about wine, I didn't like that everyone's like, oh my god, it's like orange. And I would taste orange. And then they're like, oh my god, it's like lemon. And I would taste lemon. Or like, oh, I could taste like elderflower. And I'm just like, I could taste elderflower. Like, I hate that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted my own opinion.
Exactly, yeah. So at least when I'm tasting myself, or also around people, I'm very quiet.
Do you like write it down? You don't tell anybody?
I'm very quiet. I just like try to like understand it. Also, like, I don't think I have the best nose. And I'm like, texture is something that I can remember by. But anyway, when I smell this, I'm like,
okay, let's smell this together.
Like
I'm high off the smell.
Like, I think it's kind of subtle. Like, it actually reminds me a lot of Gruner Veltliner. So which is another grape from Austria, right. But it has like this like kind of radishy.
Can you say that wine again? I never could say it right.
Gruner Veltliner.
I don't even want to try. Gruner Veltliner.
Gruner Velveeta.
Velveeta.
No.
Oh, okay.
I can say Velveeta.
It's not Velveeta. Yeah, but it has this kind of like radishy, like white peppery kind of just like
like daikon or what?
Yeah,
wow, like a radish.
Yeah, right. Definitely daikon radish. That's the only radish I know.
You know breakfast radish.
What's a breakfast radish?
The long, pretty pink one.
Breakfast? All I know is Taylor ham.
The pink one with the white on the bottom.
Fancy breakfasts.
No, it's a radish. There's no breakfast involved in it.
What you said?
Why is it called breakfast radish? We'll go look that up later.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll find out.
We'll find out why it's called a breakfast radish. But sorry,
yeah.
Go on.
But then...
So then tasting it.
There's like...
Which you also bring it around in your mouth.
Exactly. So you kind of like... Yeah, like you aspirate as the word is. Like you just like bring, like you kind of slurp a little bit, just like you're slurping soup or what have you.
Come on, do it in the...
Yeah, I'll do it into the mic. Do it. Little wine ASMR.
I'm good at that.
I can't even make...
Sound like a fish. But yeah, you're like infusing air with it, and you kind of like activate all the like compounds and whatnot. And yeah, I get this kind of like white peach, like underripe apricot, and like lemon juice.
I get white peach and apricot for sure.
Yeah, for
right.
Sure.
It's.
I get dried apricot.
Those are my favorite. Stone fruits are my favorite fruit, and this is really forward in that. And I love that.
And there's like that kind of like I don't know, like yellow apple, and there's like all these like great flavors there, and I just love this wine. I think, and it's dry and it's refreshing.
No, this is a good. I don't drink white wine that much, but this is very good.
At first, when you drink it, it feels like you're drinking a sweet wine because of all of the fresh fruit notes in the forefront. But at the end, it has a nice dry finish, and I really like dry wines. I'm not a sweet wine. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll drink them because I can enjoy whatever is given to me, but if I had to choose, I would always choose a dry wine, and this is a great balance between the two. Like somebody who didn't like dry wines would like this, and totally. I'm the same.
Well, that's the funny thing is like as humans, as we evolved, like the only time we ever had sweetness was from fresh fruit, and so when we then taste fruit flavors in wine, we associate it with sweetness. But like you're saying, this is totally a dry wine. I love this wine. I think it's great. I think it's really interesting. It's off the beaten path.
We're definitely going to put it on our Instagram,
and
so
it's
don't
from
worry,
Portugal.
Guys. And it's from Portugal. Holla. If you're a close friend of mine, you always have a place to stay. I'm going to
the Douro. I'm staying with your grandparents.
They don't live in the Douro, but I would honestly, like, if I was to have a bachelorette party, it would be in the Douro.
Like, can we go there for mine?
Okay, no. Actually, it's super strict there with the pandemic. Like, no one's allowed out past 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
3 p.m.?
And then on the weekends, it's noon.
I'm not even up by then.
I'm barely up by that. My eyes are just like finally awake.
Yeah. But I want to thank Matt so much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
I know you had a lot of fun.
It was a great time.
Matt was like the only guest I wasn't nervous about.
He's
anything.
the only one
He
who
was like,
seemed-
sure, I'll come on.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I don't know.
No, even though we love all of our guests
Well,
before,
you're a
but
theater major, so that's what you do. You
Yeah,
perform.
Exactly.
and you definitely gave us the performance we
Yeah,
needed.
we really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
And would you like to say anything to our fans?
Quiche my ass.
Yeah, quiche my ass and Verve One.
Woo!
I don't know.
Thank you guys for listening this week. Hope you guys follow us on Instagram at Quiche My Ass Pod, at Quiche My Ass POD. See you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.